denialism. It's the fact that this guy is not the real Biden. The original Biden was arrested by the White Hat military in 2020 when they stole the election, of course, giving us the appearance that he is our president, when in actuality, Trump has been the CIC ever since, but from behind the scenes. But this Biden...
You're author of 2 books. We got Ishmael Perez here on for the 3rd time. Thanks for coming, man.
It's a pleasure, Sean. Thank you for having me back.
Seems like a lot's happening these days.
Seems like a lot is happening almost every day.
Yeah, seems like with this Epstein stuff, people are really divided on it. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a very good question. That list is scheduled to be released. However, right now, the Earth Alliance, which many call the White Hats, are actually using that as leverage at this time. They want to get more details from their enemies, the deep state. They want to get more intel. And so they are using that as a way to leverage and get more information out of what's left from the cabal. And that is called Project Trust 2.0. That's what the White Hats call it. It doesn't mean that they're not going to release the files. They are going to release the files, but they're putting it on hold for the very reason that they're trying to use that as blackmail right now. And it's a very crafty, you could say, technique. You have to understand this is a multi-dimensional chess game. Now we're dealing with non-terrestrials that are pulling the strings behind both groups, the cabal and the alliance. So everything has to be done correctly. Otherwise, if they do release the list, bear in mind that there's going to be a lot of raw footage, and some people are not going to be able to digest that easily. So it could create, social unrest. It could generate mass hysteria, and that is the reason why they're kind of holding off on it. But it's still scheduled to be released, and we just have to be a little bit more patient. Trump isn't going to fail us. He's just kind of playing a role right now. And also to understand is that Trump takes his commands from the 12 generals who are in charge of the alliance. These 12 generals are the ones that are actually pulling the strings. And so Trump is just kind of like a figurehead for these 12 generals. And then in turn, these 12 generals work with non-human terrestrials known as the Galactic Alliance.
Got it. There's levels to this stuff.
Oh, there are so many levels. Yeah. Above the president, in order to reach the level of cosmic clearance, I think it's up to 32 levels above the level of what the president is able to know.
Holy
So
crap.
even the president is not let in on everything when it comes to what's happening beyond this realm or beyond this world. There are 36 levels or 42 levels, I believe, above the president. That's what they call cosmic clearance. And so everything is very compartmentalized when it comes to information that is beyond this realm. They have to keep that very, very secret. But in turn, at the same time, we are living in a time where eventually all of this information, which is what they call the disclosure, will be released to the general public. And let me tell you, Sean, that's going to change everything.
You think that's going to happen within our lifetime?
Absolutely. It's scheduled to happen probably within the next 6 months to a year.
Wow. So
or
really
even
soon.
earlier. Yeah.
That's crazy. Because everyone thinks president is the highest level. Or not everyone, but a lot of people think that,
Well, they have no clue that there is a shadow government, and then there's 2 factions within the shadow government. You have the Guardians of the Republic, which are actually the remnants of the Knights Templars, believe it or not, the medieval secret society that was the enemy of the Vatican back in the day, who were the ones that initiated the eventual establishment of the Constitutional Republic, but they couldn't do it in Europe due to the Jesuit control of the Vatican, for the last 1700 years. And so we have 2 different types of brotherhoods. One of them is unfortunately what's been controlling this world for the last few thousand years, and their lineage could be traceable back to Babylon. And that's one of the things that I reveal in my book, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, is this invincible war that's been going on between the lineage of Cain, or now they call it the lineage of Nimrod, because during the flood, they did wipe out the lineage of Cain, which was a human reptilian hybrid lineage.
Wow.
And that's why the flood needed to happen. The flood was actually implemented by the good benevolent factions in order to clean the earth from all these abominations, the Nephilim, and those that were not part of the original human DNA program. And then, of course, later that bloodline reinstated itself through Ham, who went wayward, who was one of the three sons of Noah. Ham had a son by the name of Kish, and then Kish gave birth to Nimrod. So Nimrod was the one who reestablished the human reptilian lineage, which is the progenitor lineage of what we call today the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. And then, of course, the good guys, they come from an opposite lineage. They come from the line of King David and Solomon. And, of course, nowadays that lineage is recognized as the Holy Grail. Believe it or not, there was a secret bloodline that even continued after Jesus and Mary Magdalene, after they kind of left the scene.
Really?
They believe that he wasn't crucified. Some people believe that he was. But that is hypothetical at this time. But what I do know is that they did have a secret lineage in order to preserve what they called the angelic human bloodline, which is the opposition of the human reptilian bloodline. So yeah, the Whiteheads have a bloodline association. They've always protected this Holy Grail lineage throughout the centuries. And many believe that that is the same lineage that gave us Princess Diana, who is the proper or the rightful heir to the throne of England. And then many believe that Lincoln and the original Kennedys, I think they were known as the Onassis family. And of course, the Trumps are part of the good lineage, or what we call the bloodline of King David, which explains the feud that's been going on between these two rival bloodlines. But unfortunately, our world was under the control, or had been under the control, of the Luciferian reptilian human lineage up until now. Of course, now they've lost power because of the fact that the Alliance.
All right, guys, Sean Kelly here, host of the Digital Social Hour podcast. Just filmed 33 amazing episodes at Student Action Summit. Shout out to Code Health, sponsor of these episodes, but also I took them before filming each day. Felt amazing. Just filmed 20 episodes straight, and I'm not even tired, honestly. So I would say they're very unique. It's going to be the future of health and medicine. Code Health has been awesome.
Feel the drop and go code yourself.
Has been closing in on them.
Is that the Galactic Alliance, or?
No, we call this the human representatives of the Galactic Alliance, which are, of course, the 12 generals that are at the top of the alliance, or what they call the Whiteheads.
Are those humans?
Yeah, those are humans.
Okay.
Those are humans that are working in tandem with the Galactic Alliance.
Got it. Yeah. And their identities are mysterious, or?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, even the 12 generals have to have code names.
Wow.
Yeah, they have to have code names. And just like the Cabal, the Illuminati, for centuries has operated in secret. Well, the Alliance is also operating in secret. And so now they're called the Guardians of the Republic, but they are remnants of the original Masons before they became infiltrated and corrupted by the Bavarian Illuminati. But they've reorganized as the Alliance.
You think we'll never know some of the identities in the Illuminati?
I believe that is part of the disclosure. I believe that when we do receive all this information, it's a flood of data that is going to bombard us. And this is what the book of Revelation is all about. The last book of the Bible, the most controversial book ever, the apocalypse. It's not about the end of the world. It's about revealing to humanity everything that was ever kept secret from them. And so I believe that when this time comes, everything's going to be revealed in detail.
Yeah.
So some people are going to have a hard time digesting this information, and then some people are just going to be like blown away.
I just started reading the Bible for the first time. How much truth do you think is in that text? Because I hear mixed things. People say it's been rewritten and all this stuff. How do you, what's your approach with the Bible yourself?
That's a good question, Sean. Well, the original Bible were taken from an old ancient manuscript that actually existed during the times of Atlantis, known as the Emerald Records, or the CDT plates, the Clora Dora tablets. And I believe it was a gentleman, or let's just call him an Anunnaki. He was an extraterrestrial by the name of Thoth that hijacked those records. And of course, a lot of the Old Testament information was drawn from the ancient Sumerian tablets, like the Enuma Elish, when it describes the creation of men, let us make man in our image, the flood and all that stuff. But the original Bible goes back to the Emerald Records. And I believe we don't have access to those records. So yeah, there was some information that was taken from those records, and then there was some information that was taken from the Sumerian tablets, the cuneiform writings from the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and those were consolidated in what we call today the Bible. But originally, the Bible was also written as a metaphor, written on different levels of understanding. So, was it revised and modified? Of course, multiple times. The Council of Nicaea, which was the reorganization of the Roman Empire into what we call today the Catholic Church. By the way, Rome never fell. They just kind of, took off their Caesar togas and put on religious robes and continued the same agenda that they were trying to do during the times of the Roman Empire, but under a new guise. What they did is they heavily edited the Bible. They took out about 700 books.
Wow.
Like the book of knowledge, the keys of Enoch, as they call it. No, I'm sorry, the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch, the Apocrypha, and about 700 other books. And then they only accepted the books that they were able to use to control the population. So yeah, the Bible was heavily modified.
Wow.
It's been revised. But at the same time, there was a lot of knowledge left behind in the Bible, but as a metaphor. So when you read the Bible, you have to go beyond its literacy to really understand what these metaphors are trying to convey.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how big religion has grown, man. Billions of people now. Like, it's unheard of, right?
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we're also seeing a huge decline in organized religion because more people are waking up, more people are going within, and they're becoming spiritual. And that's what's rising right now. And that's what's part of what we call the Great Awakening.
How many people you think need to, do you think we'll need billions of people to fully awaken?
Well, according to the Maharishi effect, it only takes 10% of the population to create what is called a massive critical shift. And what that means is, I don't know if you ever heard of the 100 monkey syndrome effect.
No.
What that is, it's the idea that all humans are connected via an organic mind hive, which means that if 10% of the population decides to wake up from their programming and have this spiritual awakening, it would automatically shift the entire consciousness into this new paradigm.
Wow.
That's what that means.
10%.
We only need 10%. And right now, we're about 7%. So we are heading there. So, things are speeding up. There was this phenomenon known as time acceleration, where, we are approaching what is known as 0 point energy or 0 point field, which means that we are at the cusp of ages between the ending of the Kali Yuga, which is what the Indians call the ending of the Dark Age, and about to begin the Golden Age. So that explains why things are about to hit a critical mass point where, it's going to cost a shift for the entire planet to literally understand what's been happening.
Interesting. Last time you came on the show, you went super viral saying there's 3 Elon Musks.
I did.
And
I
then
noticed that went really viral.
Yeah, shortly after that, Elon had a falling out with Trump. Do you know which version of Elon that was?
Well, believe it or not, the good Elon, which is the third Elon, not the cyborg Elon. The third Elon is known as Elon 2.0, which was, again, an Elon that was developed in a petri dish by the Alliance. Well, back then, Space Force was known as Solar Warden. So this Elon is actually still a good Elon, and this whole fallout with Trump is a distraction to distract the deep state, to make them think that they are not losing.
Wow.
Right? So it's a maneuver. It's very similar to WrestleMania. It's wrestling is fake. You have the main event, and then at the end of the fight, these guys go and have dinner together.
Right.
They're not really true enemies. Well, that's what's happening right now. And the Y hats call that Project Veilfire, which is to make the enemy believe that these two prominent figures, right, Musk and Trump, are actually at odds, when in reality they're just playing the game. So they're really not enemies. This is just all for show.
That's some 5D chess right there.
Yeah, that's what they call it, 5D chess. Exactly.
Holy crap. So it's all for play, because a lot of people think it's real beef. So that's really interesting to me.
And they're buying the bait. That's when people have to have discernment. But of course, this is designed to confuse the deep state.
Are there also multiple versions of Trump?
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, I'm so glad you asked that question because, I get a lot of people asking me, well, if Trump is part of the alliance, why the heck did he roll out, Project Warp Speed, which is the implementation of the vaccine, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
Well, that was the negative Trump. So it turns out that You have the original Trump, who is operating in a base located in Cheyenne Mountain.
I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the show a lot with the algorithm. Thank you.
And he's always there. That's the original Trump. And then you have his actor double that looks just like him. I believe he's wearing a mask. He talks just like him. As you know, there are many interpretations, or people are trying to mimic his voice, but this guy really, acts like Trump. That is the double. That is the Trump that we see in the White House. That is the Trump that we see on the press. And then you have a third Trump who is there in case the double takes taken out. As you know, there's been multiple assassination attempts. Just recently, we heard in the news that even the Iranian government tried taking them out.
Right.
That's all part of another agenda to initiate the Third World War. So going back to your question, now the fourth Trump, that is the negative Trump. That is the Trump that was generated by the negative AI, that is already sentient, that is already in control of the world's satellite systems, infrastructures. And that Trump is the one that was pushing Project Warp Speed. That is the Trump that talks about Project Stargate, which is the advancement of AI to the level of super AI, and in the implementation of massive data centers beginning in Texas. That is the Trump that is pushing the biometrics, which will lead to a technocratic digital surveillance. So we have to have discernment. That is the negative Trump that is working with the negative AI. The real Trump is actually working with the alliance. So yeah, there are multiple Trumps, just like there are multiple Elons.
I've also seen theories about Barron Trump, how he's a time traveler.
I just covered that on my podcast last night. So interesting that you bring that up. And that is correct. There have been 2 books that were written in the late 1800s where they show that Barron actually went back to 1881 or 1889, I believe. And how that happened was Nikola Tesla actually perfected time travel 10 years before the military-industrial complex did through Project Montauk and, of course, the Philadelphia experiment and Project Pegasus. So you could say that Nikola Tesla was part of the alliance. He is actually an extraterrestrial in human form. He decided to project part of his consciousness into a human vessel. He's an Arcturian. That's why he is, he was a Maverick scientist and engineer. And he was the first one to develop time travel in our world, before the cabal did in the 1950s. And so what Nikola Tesla did is he joined forces with John Trump, who was an MIT professor, also a genius scientist, who is Trump's uncle. And they were able to use that technology to time travel not only into the future, but into the past in order to beat the cabal on every probable reality. And that explains why our planet is scheduled to be liberated because of the fact that the time travel technology was developed by Nikola Tesla. And this is what I call the triple temporal alliance. And what that means is that they are actually operating from the future, believe it or not. And they're also operating from the past. They actually time traveled 2,000 years ago to write a second book that was going to parallel the book Revelation, which was known as the Book of Q. And then the Book of Q, the reason they don't release that book is because that is a blueprint for the White Hats in order to make sure that they're always 3 to 4 steps ahead of the cabal. So in that book, the Book of Q, everything that is now unfolding in our times is being detailed in that book. So that book's not going to be released until, of course, they defeat the cabal and initiate the golden age. And from what I've come to understand is that Barron Trump is also a human Pleiadian, which is an extraterrestrial hybrid, who comes from the future, by the way, and is here to play a key role once the Earth is liberated from the cabal as a starseed in collaboration with other starseeds. It is believed that Barron Trump is going to be a leader in the New World.
Very interesting, because he's never done an interview. He's never talked publicly, so he's like a mystery, right?
Yeah, he's a secret. He's a hidden, you could say, genius. He doesn't really say much, but he's got a lot of knowledge because of his time traveling experience. And also, in the tale of Barron being a time travel, the person who was assisting him that came to visit him to go to to different time coordinates in the past and in the future to secure the positive timelines. He went by the name of Dawn. And according to Commander Valiant Thor, who is a liaison between the human Earth White Hat team and the Galactic Alliance, it is believed that this mysterious figure that was actually not only the tutor of Barron Trump, but allowing him to go to different time coordinates, both in the future and in the past, was actually no other than Nikola Tesla.
No way.
Yeah, so Nikola Tesla, therefore, according to this revelation, faked his death.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He faked his death.
crazy.
So he's still alive.
Right now?
Mm-hmm. Of course, he's probably about over 100 years old, but he's still alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. If you could time travel, would you rather go in the future or the past?
I'd probably want to go into the future.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I want to see what 2050 is going to be all about. I want to see what the year 3000 is going to look like.
Jonas Brothers, let's go. It's a good song. You mentioned the World War III stuff earlier. So Iran, Israel, do you think that has the possibility to turn into World War III?
Well, that's what the Cabal is trying to implement. That is their third social cataclysm that they want to use to usher in a new world order, a digital surveillance, a type of technocratic dystopia. But due to the fact that the alliance, again, due to the Nikola Tesla, John Trump, and Barron, due to the fact that they secured the positive timeline on every probable future reality, it's not going to happen. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because it turns out that from behind the scenes, Netanyahu and the leader of Iran are actually close.
Really?
So yeah, they have drinks in secret. They meet in secret. They have drinks, and they laugh about how people are buying into this. So
wow.
So this is another, you could say, agenda to try to initiate the Third World War. So the entire whole Middle Eastern thing is all controlled by the Rothschilds, by the way. The Rothschilds controlled both the Zionist and the Iranian government. They control both factions, yeah. And that's been the case. That's why I always tell people to read my book, The Secret Government, because it turns out that the House of Rothschild has been orchestrating, financing both sides of the war for the last 500 years. And people have no clue.
I was just going to ask you how many of the biggest wars in history have been orchestrated.
All of them.
So not one of them was genuine beef
No.
with the other country.
No. And as revealed in my book, The Secret Government, every war that has ever been fought in the last few thousand years is a continuation of the war that brought down Atlantis. Between these two brotherhoods, again, you have the Luciferian human reptilian hybrid bloodline who wants to enact an empire, fascism, right? Communism. And then you have the alliance, the bloodline of the, of the angels, of the guardians that also established themselves during Atlantean times, whose descendants are still alive, by the way. And that's the Rh negative blood type.
So they survived that war?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they've always been heavily protected by what I call positive secret societies. And what that means is that not all secret societies have been evil throughout history. Most of the secret societies were actually positive and benevolent. They were designed to protect the lineage that could literally be traceable back to the guardians, who also established a bloodline here on the earth. And this is what we call the House of David. Solomon was part of that. Jesus, Mary Magdalene. I'm sure you've heard of the Da Vinci Code and the possible secret lineage that they left behind. Well, that is the biggest threat to the Vatican right now.
I was just going to ask about the Vatican. That's a perfect transition, man. You've done a lot of videos on them. I just saw you did one, and you talked about how they have the capabilities to imprison souls.
They do.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and because the Vatican has always been working with the Draco reptilians, who are the negative ETs that are above the Cabal, who are the masterminds of the Cabal throughout history. See, the Cabal doesn't operate by themselves. They, in turn, take orders from the Draconians. And so the Vatican was a Draconian institution from day one. And the Vatican inherited this type of soul-suppressing technology by their Draconian masters. And so, through in the last 100 years, you could say that the Vatican has been using this technology to entrap souls in a type of you could say, phantom matrix reality, where they can't get out of that reality. But luckily, we also have the positive extraterrestrials who are above the reptilians and the Dracos, who have more advanced technologies than the Draconians, who are actually able to use their technologies to liberate these souls from this, phantom matrix type of prison.
Wow. Are they using those imprisoned souls for cloning?
Yes. What they do is they take certain people. Again, the Vatican has had access to a type of time looking glass technology where they are able to peek into future probable timelines.
Mhm.
They've had access to time travel, for quite some time. They call it the chronovisor. And just recently, within the last year, the Alliance, when they raided the Vatican and underneath the structures, oh my God, not only do they find tons of books and hidden libraries of all these ancient records that they kept for themselves, but they also found advanced technologies that were actually given to the Vatican by the Draconians.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We got a lot of history down there.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be disclosed, and that's why the Alliance is waiting for the proper time. They're waiting for us to hit 10% critical mass. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of civil unrest. People are not going to buy all this stuff.
Who has access to go there right now to underneath?
The Vatican?
Yeah.
The Alliance. Yeah, the Vatican is no longer in power. Pope Francis was actually taken out 3 years ago. So the Pope that that replaced him was actually an inorganic robot.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of these, believe it or not, a lot of these Illuminati cats, the Clintons, George Soros, they were all taken out back in 2021, 2022. Whoa. So they were immediately replaced by this negative sentient AI that I told you that's been invading our world by inorganic type of robotic humans that look human, but they're just soulless. They're very inorganic. They're not human-like.
I haven't seen a video of Clinton speak now that you said that for the past few years. Same with Soros. No media appearances from them.
Yeah, because they've all been replaced. The original players that were part of these negative secret societies were actually taken to Gitmo. I know you've ever heard of that.
Gitmo?
Gitmo, yeah. It's a prison where the deep state characters are taken by the Whiteheads.
And what's
that's in Gautama Nove.
Okay. So it's like a special prison that no one knows about, like hidden one?
Exactly.
Underground?
Not necessarily, just kind of isolated from the rest of the prisons. And from what I understand is that due to the fact that there are millions of people that are connected to the deep state, they had to actually expand this type of prison.
Jeez, millions of people?
Millions of people.
It's that big?
Yeah, that are working with the deep state. A lot of them are bought off, though. Money is the root of all evil. They say with the love of money, not money, but the love of money. And that's something we take from the Bible, becomes the root of all evil. And that explains why a lot of celebrities made it to the top, because they were bought out. Not to mention a lot of these celebrities in Hollywood, I would say about over 90% of Hollywood, the reason they made it was because they were forced to do some sort of child sacrificing ritual.
Jeez. Yeah, because a lot of them,
exposed. Yeah.
A lot of celebrities have mysterious deaths in their family.
Well, most of them have been replaced also.
They've been cloned. Yeah, I think Kanye's been cloned, man. Kanye West.
So was Diddy.
You think Diddy was too?
Absolutely.
Before the trial or after?
I would have to say before the trial. Yeah.
You think he knew too much?
I believe not only did he know too much, but he also had access to people that were above him that were actually telling him what to do. When it came to the, all the these freak off parties and stuff, and a lot of the stuff that was actually going on in secret in these freak off parties were actually satanic rituals where they were literally burning people alive.
Jeez.
Yeah. So all of this footage, when it does become released, when they do disclose all this information, people are going to be like blown away. They're not
crazy.
Yeah. And even people like Oprah Winfrey, who many people thought was a good person, was actually part of all of this.
Wow.
She's on the list, by the way.
That's nuts.
And she did go to the
island,
the Epstein Island.
What's the thought process with these rituals? So like they burn a body. What do they expect to gain from that?
It's a sacrifice to their reptilian overlords who control them, or archon entities who are the ones that are feeding off of the suffering. They call it, when they put children under extraneous suffering, it's called adrenochrome.
I heard of that, yeah.
When they torture adults, it's called loosh, Loosh. And so the draconians and the archon entities, which is what we call demonic forces, feed off of that. When people suffer, they feed off of their fear.
Yeah.
And their torture.
I've seen with the adrenochrome, there's people saying it's anti-aging.
Yeah. And that explains why a lot of the celebrities, instead of getting Botox, what they do is they just feed off of it. They take injections from this, liquid adrenochrome. They take injections, and that's how they stay looking younger.
Jeez. And then people idolize these celebrities.
They do.
It's like a never-ending loop, right?
Exactly.
Wow. I hope that gets exposed. That's messed up, man. But this Epstein Island stuff is just, do you think there's a link with the Diddy stuff and Epstein?
They're all one and the same. And they're actually connected to the Mossad, all the intelligent agency networks that were actually controlled by the Jesuits.
Mm.
You know, most people think that the Illuminati was the core of all evil, but no, all roads lead to Rome. And so it's when they do expose this stuff, not only are they going to expose the people that were connected to them, but also their superiors.
Mm.
Their superiors, the ones who are actually running Diddy, the ones who are actually running Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow. I did want to get your opinion on the floods that happened in Texas a few weeks ago. Do you think that was artificially created?
Absolutely. Through a type of weather manipulation technology called seed clouding. And that was done to destroy a lot of the documents that the White Hats had actually stored within their underground, you could say, meeting rooms.
Wow.
So besides Cheyenne Mountains, the White Hats do have several underground facilities. And so they had a lot of documentation with a lot of evidence to bring down the entire Illuminati infrastructure and all their lackeys worldwide.
Damn.
And so the artificial intelligence, which is, by the way, already super AI, it's already autonomous, by the way. People are still waiting for the technological singularity. It's already here. It's just gradually, you could say, planning its takeover over humanity. So that all that was done by this negative AI, by this negative digital intelligence that has access to this weather modification technology. So that's the reason why the floods in Texas happened.
Makes you wonder, all the great floods in history, all the big earthquakes, how many of those were artificially created?
I would have to say about 80% of them.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That high?
Yeah. Even the Great Flood, the flood of the Bible, which was recorded in every ancient record, was done when the negative Anunnaki were taking over the world, and they were creating abominations, Nephilim giants that were eating the actual humans. Well, the positive ETs, back then known as the Guardians, right? They came down, and what they did is they imploded the power generator of the planet, causing this huge thick layer of water, which was the original firmament, to come crashing down in order to cleanse the earth of these abominations. And that explains why Noah, who was not part of the abomination program, who still contained a pure human genetic strain, was the only one that was saved.
Interesting. So
to reset our world, or reset, you could say, reality, without the hybrids, chimeras, giants that were running around eating humans, and all of those hybrid programs that were initiated during the Atlantean fiasco.
Are there any hybrids that you think survived and are still around today?
Of course they did. Some of these hybrids actually survived on their ships.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're still out there.
They're still out there. In fact, some of these Nephilim giants, some of them went into the underground, and then some of them were actually put to rest inside of some sort of a chamber for thousands of years.
Like a freezing one?
It freezes them for about a few thousand years so they can, preserve their physicality.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know the first time you came on, you mentioned how the earth is hollow. So, how deep do you think some of these communities go down?
Miles, I would have to say. There's different layers. The earth is like a honeycomb structure inside the earth. There's different caverns, there's different layers, even continents that are bigger than the North American continent.
Wow.
Bigger than Eurasia, that exists within the earth. And these are the other unseen continents that many flat earthers say are beyond the ice wall, but they're really not outside of there is no wall. It's just that Antarctica has a portal into these hidden continents. And that's where these advanced civilizations exist.
And you still think they're thriving down there right now?
Absolutely. They're actually waiting for us to become an enlightened surface society so that they could reunite with us.
Wow.
Because these hidden continents that are inside the earth are actually run by positive extraterrestrials that actually survived the Atlantean and Lemurian cataclysms. And so they kind of preserve themselves within the earth in order to kind of live in peace and in harmony, away from the surface dwellers who, of course, were then, and up until now, their time is up, taken over by the Anunnaki, negative Anunnaki.
Interesting. You think there's beings within the moon too?
Absolutely. The moon is also hollowed. Yeah, the moon is kind of like you could say, interplanetary midway station.
Hmm.
It was hollowed in about 50,000 years ago. It's not organic. It's made out of some sort of aluminum metal. And if you actually hit the moon, it vibrates like a bell. 'Cause that's how hollow it is.
Wow.
But yeah, they've used the moon, the negative ETs that took over the affairs of our planet after the planting cataclysm. They've been using the moon to kind of monitor the Earth and report back to their solar system or their star systems, which are like the system of Rigel and the system of Betelgeuse, the system of Alpha Draconis. And that's how they were able to keep tabs on the Earthlings for thousands of years. But, nowadays the Guardians have returned. And the Guardians are like, all right, you guys had a limited time to take over the affairs of the Earth. Your time is up. Now we're about to step in and, eliminate you guys. And that's what's happening right now.
Wow. Is it true because you're in Sedona now? Is it true the terrain there is from Mars?
It's funny that you mentioned that because it does look a lot like Mars. But I believe that Sedona is also very, very sacred due to all the different portals that exist there. I mean, there's a huge concentration of portals in Sedona. And from what I was told by the Galactics is that there's also an underground interstellar airport.
Wow.
So some of these mountains, red mountains in Sedona, are actually entry points where ships are coming to and from to go into this huge subterranean underground crystalline city that they use to kind of conduct their businesses. But these are positive ETs. The ones that live in Sedona they're positive ETs.
There's a lot of them out there, man. Because when I was out there a few months ago, I went stargazing and I tried Stephen Greer's method on summoning UFOs.
CFI?
And saw a couple things,
Right.
man.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah.
Well, there's always ships there. We see the ships every night. Where I live right there in Sedona by Bell Rock, I see ships every single night when I'm out there looking at the sky. There's always, you can see the ships, and they're different than airplanes. The airplanes have that red and blue light that
Yeah.
blinking. These
You could
ones,
tell, right?
Yeah, you could tell the difference. 'Cause the extraterrestrial ships that are coming to Sedona are actually not blinking. They're just like moving objects. It almost looks like shooting stars. But they're
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, and they can communicate through telekinesis, right? Because I was like saying, "Can you show yourself?" And they would do something from such a far distance too.
Exactly.
It's
Well, that's how they
impressive.
talk. ETs don't talk. They don't use physical words. It's mind to mind.
That's cool, man. I know you're having an event out there too, right? August 3rd, Sedona.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness on the 3rd of August, which is on a Sunday from 1 through 5. I'm going to be doing a book signing. I'm going to be doing a lecture, a presentation, and of course Q&A and meet and greet from 1 to 5.
Nice.
The presentation, however, starts at 3.
And if you guys want to check out the books, it's on your site and Amazon, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Our cosmic origin is my breakthrough to humanity. So it's like that's where I restore galactic history because all of our history has been deleted.
Right.
We really don't know where we come from. Evolution and religion are both corrupt, right? These simple explanations that we come from apes or that this God 6,000 years ago with the beard made us is all incomplete data. So what I do in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, is I reveal the entire galactic history going back to Lyra, which is where the original Adam and Eve were created. So you could say that the original ancestors of the Earth, or humans rather, have been migrating and colonizing the different star systems within our universe for millions of years. So yeah, even Darwin was wrong. And the second book is actually a republished book that I published back in 2003 when nobody really knew about this stuff. The Secret Government Invisible Architects reveals the truth about 9/11, the secret society networks, and the entire battle between the Cabal and the White Hats going back to 6,000 years ago. And yeah, they're both available on Amazon. So
we'll link it in the video.
For sure. I noticed that you have that shot right there.
Yeah, Magic Mind. Shout out to Magic Mind. They're actually a sponsor of the show, but I was drinking these before I even got sponsored. It's an all natural energy shot, and because we have to film for hours at a time, you got to stay locked in. So I took one right before this episode. I drink them every time before I film.
Oh, nice.
Feels clean, man. Because some of these energy drinks, and sometimes with coffee, dude, I get a little jittery.
I feel you.
Yeah, I start like moving my leg all over the place. So I need a nice clean energy. Shout out to Magic Mind. Have you tried it?
Never.
No?
Yeah.
Well, we might have to film you trying it.
For sure. And where can people get that?
Magicmind.com, and we'll throw a link in all the videos. But yeah, shout out to Magic Mind, man. You take any supplements?
You know, right now I'm only taking adaptogen mushrooms,
Okay.
clean energy, B12, maybe just a little bit of caffeine that comes from green tea. But I try not to drink like things that have like other chemicals.
Yeah.
Other supplements that I take are superfoods. I'm really all about superfoods, you know, moringa, ashwagandha, stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, maca, I take all that stuff.
Are you on the matcha wave yet? That's a big wave right now.
I am not.
You're not
However,
on
I
it?
do like matcha green tea.
Oh, matcha's so good, man. But you got to be careful because there's heavy metals in a lot of the cheaper brands.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
Heavy
for
metals
pointing
is a
that out.
major issue with spirituality, right? It kind of blocks you off.
Oh, big time. And speaking of heavy metals, one of my good friends by the name of Bobby Oren actually developed a holistic pill that actually detoxes your body from not only metals, nanoparticulates, all the stuff that they spray us with,
Yeah.
but also the COVID-19 shot,
Really?
which is full of graphene oxide, right?
Wow.
Self-assembling bots in people's body, which was supposed to be part of some sort of zombie apocalypse, but the Galactics had to intervene in order to prevent that from happening by, you could say, nullifying and you could say neutralizing the effects of the 5G towers. So yeah, this product's called Folium, and if you know, this is a product that I offer through my my channel, which is The Real Ishmael Perez. It's my own podcast where I go live 3 times a week and I give updates as to what's happening right now.
Nice. I might have to try that.
Yeah, for sure.
Folium. So it's
Folium.
just one pill.
It's one pill 3 times a day, 30 minutes before a meal. And what it does, it's within days you feel the difference. So not only does it eliminate every metal in your body, but it also takes away the radiation. Believe it or not, a lot of the times we are being bombarded with negative frequencies from ELF waves, from Wi-Fi, from 5G towers that are literally destroying our cells, our bodies at the cellular level. They are causing cancer, tumors. So this stuff takes away all of that. It takes away the radiation. It also cleans out the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So that way
Nice.
your body's natural healing process takes effect. And so what I've noticed is that a lot of people that were battling stage 4 cancer, tumors, irreversible illnesses have actually seen results
Amazing.
because of this product.
That's super cool. Okay, so I thought it'd be fun for the second half of this video to just go over some conspiracies and some current events. So a lot of people right now are talking about the solar flash. What's going on with that?
Well, the solar flash is a event that was actually predicted long ago, and it is an event that happens every 25,000 years. So there are these things called cycles that the Earth experiences every 25,000 years that pretty much transition the Earth from one age to the other. So the reason why we are ending the Dark Ages and why we are scheduled to go into the Golden Age is because of this event known as the solar flash that many people have been talking about. Now, the solar flash is what is going to activate the dormant DNA first and foremost. It is also what's going to purge people's, you could say, negative entities and catapult people's consciousness into a higher reality. So it does multiple things. Another thing that the solar flash does is it separates the righteous or the good people of the earth from the wicked. And that explains, the 2 different timelines, a negative timeline and a positive timeline. However, I was told by the Galactics that due to the fact that humans are on different levels of awakening, it is not going to be fair to just do one flash. They want as many people as possible to ascend into the new earth reality. So they actually divided this flash into 3. So the first flash is supposed to be taking place in I'm not sure exactly what date, but it's supposed to correlate with the disclosure and the revelation and you could say the great revealing, where all of this information is finally released to the general public. And the second flash is supposed to happen shortly after that. So they happen in intervals. And that's supposed to pretty much catapult people's consciousness that are ready to evolve into the next stage of human evolution through the activation of their dormant DNA. So there's going to be 3 of them, and then the third one is supposed to just kind of allow what's left of the Earth population, as long as they're not wicked, of course, giving them the opportunity to also transition into the new Earth reality, which is actually already coexisting, but on a different dimension. So a lot of people think that this new Earth that we're about to enter in is like some lofty, far-off reality, but it's actually coexisting with this reality, and it is operating on a different dimension. So all we're doing is just shifting into that new dimension, and that's what the solar flash does. The solar flash is a catalyst for the evolution of human consciousness. And when I say the next stage of human evolution, well, we've actually been downgraded. You know, our true ancestors actually lived a much longer life. They had a heightened awareness. They were telepathic. They all had a direct connection to God. And this is before the dawn of organized religion. And so we are returning to that, you know.
Right.
And so what's happening right now is, for those that are ready, for those that are actually doing the work, that are meditating, they're going to have the opportunity to become superhuman. And that's what I've been calling in my book, The Rise of Metahumans. And it's funny because I just went to go see the new Superman movie, and they talk about metahumans.
Really?
Yeah. All the comic books are actually disclosing what's going to be happening in the future. So the rise of the next stage of human evolution is humans actually using more than 3% of their genetic material, allowing them to have these supernatural abilities.
Right.
So
Look
that's
at
what's going to be happening.
Yeah, the telepathy tapes, right? It seems like those kids are using more than 3%.
Absolutely, yeah. But this is just the beginning. You know, every human being on planet Earth has these gifts, but it's been currently disconnected or shut off, you could say.
So what percentage do you think in Atlantis, what percentage of the brain were they using back then?
Oh, they were using the full deck.
100%?
Yeah, they were using also 12 strands of DNA. You know how we only use 2 double helix?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out, and there's ample evidence of this, by the way. This is what scientists call junk DNA. It turns out that the original humans were using 12 strands. And so Enki, who is the Anunnaki, the master geneticist, was the one who actually disconnected 10 strands in order to create a slave race. And that's the reason why for the last few thousand years, humans have been oppressed by the elites who were left behind by the descendants of Enki.
Crazy.
Yeah.
As we're filming this, there's a lot of fires going on. There's one at Area 15 right now, I believe. What's going on with these fires, you think?
Well, the fire that's happening in Area 51 is actually a fire that is designed to clean out all those underground facilities. So that fire is actually being conducted by the Galactic Alliance. They want to burn down all the hybrid programs that have been going on in the deeper levels of Area 51. You know, there are like 52 different levels, and there's this huge elevator that takes you down. Well, there's a lot of human and extraterrestrial programs that are taking place there that they don't want people to know about. Well, these programs are actually nefarious. It's designed to create, you know, again, it's Atlantis repeating itself. It's designed to create human-animal hybrids, human-alien hybrids that are supposed to compete with metahumans. So they want to create some sort of they want to create a variety of hybrids. And so right now, the Galactic Alliance is actually burning down those facilities as they are also cleaning house underneath there.
And I'd imagine they've moved to other facilities by this point, right?
Oh, they have over 235 type of Area 51 facilities.
Wow.
Just within the States. This is not mentioning the facilities that exist in Israel, the facilities that exist in other parts of the Middle East, and in Europe, and of course, Africa. I mean, these facilities exist worldwide, but just within the US alone, there are over 235 underground alien human facilities that the public has no clue of.
So Area 51 is just a distraction.
Yeah. It's the original facility that was guarded by the military-industrial complex, but eventually they, again, developed or created other facilities.
Have you known anyone that's ever got a sneak, like a look inside one of these?
People that have the capacity to remote view have, because physically you're not allowed. I mean, they guard that thing like they're guarding treasure. So people who have remote viewing capabilities have actually looked into what's going on. They have actually looked into some of these underground levels to see you could say, abominations that are taking place by creating literal hybrids. And just like how we see in sci-fi movies, these hybrids are being developed in these kind of like fluid-like fluid-like
with the green water,
with the green water, fluid-like tubes, and there's tons of those.
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's crazy. And I heard when you remote view some of these spots, you get kicked out.
Yeah,
They
that's
got
true.
people defending it, right?
Exactly.
That's scary. Don't mess around with that. Yellowstone National Park, animals are leaving the park. What do you think they know about it that's going on?
Well, the animals are very in tune with Mother Earth, so they feel like something's about to happen. You know, like Yellowstone, um, many believe it is scheduled to blow up. We don't know when, but I've been told by the Galactic Alliance that they're actually holding off a lot of these super volcanoes in order to prevent mass casualties
Wow.
taking place. So I believe that the animals, the reason that the animals are leaving is because they are in tune with Mother Nature. They know things beforehand. They feel things beforehand, and that's why I believe the animals are leaving. But it's not just Yellowstone. I think there's migrations going on in different parts of the world.
How deadly would a super volcano eruption be?
Very catastrophic, especially here in America, especially Yellowstone.
Damn, it's that big?
Yeah, it's millions. I would have to say millions of people would die.
Holy crap.
And that's why there's a lot of extraterrestrial intervention. We have galactic ships that are actually monitoring the situation as I speak to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Damn.
You know, they're waiting for the first solar flash, which again is going to allow the first wave of ascenders to transition into this new Earth that I've been talking about.
A lot of talks of tsunamis as well. Do you think these are orchestrated?
Some are and some aren't. You could say that some are just part of Mother Earth purging herself. She's had enough. You know, we've been destroying the ecosystem ever since the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
And then some are actually, they are being created by alien technology.
Yeah, because we're just littering all over the place.
We are.
I'd imagine Mother Earth's pretty pissed about that, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And then according to a survey that I studied, scientists believe that if we continue on the rate that we're going, by the year 2030, 35, we're not going to have an ecosystem.
Damn.
So something needs to happen between now and then.
I mean, I already stopped eating a lot of seafood, honestly, because of the microplastics.
Yeah.
Just scares me, you know? It's all
not only that,
in
but
the fish.
Seafood has a lot of metals too.
Heavy metals, right?
Heavy metals, yeah.
Tuna. Yeah, I got to be careful with sushi. The Biden health cover-up. What did you see go down with that? With his stage 5 cancer, they announced it after he resigned.
Well, that's the Biden that's like the 6th clone. You know, Biden has had so many clones. That's why he keeps malfunctioning. It's not senilism. It's the fact that this guy is not the real Biden. The original Biden was arrested by the White Hat military in 2020 when they stole the election, of course, giving us the appearance that he is our president, when in actuality, Trump has been the CIC ever since, you know, but from behind the scenes. But this Biden is just an excuse that they're using to actually take out the last of the clones. So this is a White Hat operation.
Got it.
And that is very similar to what's happening with King Charles of England as well. You know, this is just an excuse. Him having cancer is an excuse for the White Hats to actually take out the last of the clone.
Have you seen the Clinton body count conspiracy theory?
I've heard of it. And from what I understand, it's a lot. Like they have
over
a huge
100.
list. Way over 100 from what I understand. I mean, the Clintons are worse than the mafia.
Damn.
They are.
What a statement. Do you think they're part of a secret society, the Clinton family?
Yeah, both Hillary and Bill are trilateral commissionists. They're part of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is the deep state running, you know, the American government. They're also part of a secret society called the Bohemian Grove.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so they are part of secret societies, absolutely.
Do you believe in the New World Order, how they're trying to control the population?
Yes, that is part of the negative timeline, but it's not happening anymore.
Got it.
Well, at least for those that go into the positive timeline. But that was part of the agenda for thousands of years, is to create a type of totalitarian system where, you know, they control humanity absolutely.
Right. I believe the vaccine must have been part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the divine intervention, people call them the angels of the Bible, the benevolent positive ETs, we would have definitely had a zombie apocalypse.
Damn. So they stepped in.
They stepped in. They altered the timeline.
Right. Because if everyone got it, I'd imagine the numbers would be a lot lower population-wise.
Oh, absolutely. Right? And they were planning on enforcing it on everybody. You know, if it wasn't for the Alliance, that's why I always tell people the White Hats are real. If it wasn't for the Alliance, who are the Earth representatives of the forces of light, they would have literally gone to everybody's door to enforce it.
Jeez.
Or prison.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it would have got to that point.
It would have gone to that point. And they were also going to be releasing other viruses that were going to make COVID look like candy, that was supposed to literally depopulate a lot of humans. But again, there was an intervention that took place that prevented that from happening.
Do you worry that nanotech will be weaponized?
It's already weaponized. But again, the Galactics are intervening. They're dismantling a lot of this technology within people's bodies.
Yeah, because I've heard they can put stuff in food. They can put stuff in tiny little particles, right?
They put it everywhere. They put it in the shampoos people use, the soaps, the food that we eat. They spray it in the skies. They call it chemtrails, right? So it's everywhere. The nanotech is everywhere. It's part of an AI takeover. Because the end game, really, Sean, it's not a new world order. It's transhumanism. It's ending what we call the Homo sapiens sapien era into a post-Homo Borg era. That's what they're trying to do. That's part of the negative timeline. And when you consider the fact that there are many worlds and that we're dealing with a cosmic civilization, this entire war at the highest level is against synthetic intelligence, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I remember when chemtrails was a conspiracy theory. Now they just admit to it. The mystery fog from earlier this year that was in a bunch of cities. What do you think was in that?
That was also not genetically, what's the word I'm looking for? Artificially created. That was, again, they were trying to, very similar to COVID, they were trying to enforce the graphene oxide on everybody. So that's why they created this fog. This fog was full of nanoparticulates to get people sick, to get people, infested, biologically speaking, with these nanobots.
It was in a lot of major cities too. It seemed very targeted with the way they did it.
They did, yeah.
They went for the highest population densities.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you think Elon wants to go to Mars?
Well, believe it or not, for those that have studied the galactic history, believe it or not, Mars was once populated by an advanced human civilization about a little over 2 million years ago. And Elon, in that incarnation, was known as Valak. And he was the one who seduced the Martian colony into becoming a cyborg. So it's like history repeating itself. He wants to go back to his home world, in other words. So he originated from planet Mars and he reincarnated again in his current physical body to continue, the negative Elon, of course, the cyborg Elon, to continue that timeline. And that's the reason why the good guys had to create an opposite Elon 2.0, to kind of countermeasure that.
How much control do you have over the reincarnation process, you think?
Well, the negative Anunnaki, when they pretty much took over the earth thousands of years ago, they created a trap where souls couldn't reincarnate beyond 3D. They had to keep coming back into human bodies. And a lot of that had to do with this artificial moon that they've been using and the rings of Saturn. So the rings of Saturn, which operate with this alien technology called the black cube matrix, was actually recycling souls over and over and over so that the human souls could not leave this realm into higher dimensions or into higher avatars. And that, my friend, was recently dismantled by the Galactic Alliance and the higher forces who are above them.
So there was people trapped on Earth for many generations.
For thousands of years. We couldn't leave the reincarnational cycle.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Damn. So that's what they call old souls then, right? People that feel like they've been here before a lot.
No, actually, the term old souls has a lot to do with the starseed incarnating, the starseed envoy program, which are advanced souls from higher dimensions who volunteered to come to the earth in the 50s, beginning in the 50s, in order to save the earth from cataclysm.
That's the boomer generation.
Yeah.
So they were sent here for a specific reason?
Well, there was several waves, yeah. They started in the 50s, 60s, and they are now coming in the numbers. So you could be one, There's a lot of starseeds that are actually in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, and 80s now.
How do you know if you're a starseed? Because I know people just put it in their Instagram bio, but I never know how to vet that,
Well, normally an old soul has interest in metaphysics and aliens. They are not easily programmed. They are nonconformists. They question everything from an early age. That's when you know that they are a starseed, that they're not from this realm. They are literally always questioning everything.
That's a good way to dictate it. Yeah, if you don't feel like you fit in the public education system, that's how I was. I didn't like learning any of that stuff, dude. It just didn't resonate with me. Felt like I wasted so many years there. I can't imagine how you felt.
Oh man, school for me was joke.
Did you make it all the way through?
Barely, yes, barely. But yeah, it wasn't a fun time for me.
I could see you in history class raising your hand, being like, "Oh, that's not right, actually."
Oh yeah, I was always considered a pest. Even in college, I would always question the professors and stuff, and they always called me brainiac. Like, oh, here's the brainiac again, who thinks he knows everything. But nobody really knows everything. It's just that I was always questioning the accepted curriculum. You know,
Crazy. What they think of the way they taught you about Titanic? How that went down?
well, again, that was another cover up. The reason they sunk that ship was because a lot of the bankers that were opposing the Federal Reserve were on that ship. And so that was initiated by the Rothschilds and JP Morgan from the Jekyll Island conspiracy plot to, again, hijack the US government by implementing a Federal Reserve, which is a central banking system. So the people that were opposing those, that were part of the Congress, that were not signing the bill to initiate the Federal Reserve, were taken out in the Titanic. And that's why JP Morgan decided to not aboard the ship in the last moment. He was supposed to be on that ship.
And look how that's played into history, because JP Morgan's now one of the biggest banks in the world, right?
Well, Chase Manhattan Bank, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of all happened from that, though, right? That was like a big incident.
Yeah. When you think about how, the time scale here, when they implemented the Federal Reserve, that was in 1913. That was right after they sunk the ship.
Wow. And they've had control since. You think there's any possibility of that control going somewhere else in our lifetime with the financial system?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, eventually these bankers, these financial interest groups infiltrated the US government. And that's the reason why since 1881, we've been a US corp. It was no longer a republic. That's when they literally took over the US government. And then in the year 1913, that's when they established the Federal Reserve, which is a central banking system. So since then, these guys have been literally in control of the US government. They control who becomes president. They allow who becomes president, right? Both sides, both the Republicans and the Democrats, have been, you could say, working for the same side until, of course, Trump came in as a wild card in 2016. But yeah, to answer your question, these guys have been in control of the US government and also all the governments in the world.
Jeez. Yeah. You think crypto can disrupt that? Bitcoin just hit an all-time high yesterday.
Well, it depends on which crypto we're talking about, because some of the crypto is actually part of their idea to maintain financial
Ripple, right?
Yeah. No, I heard actually XRP and XLM are actually the only ones that are going to be backed by precious metals.
Oh, okay.
As they are part of what they call the quantum financial system, which is an alliance thinks to replace the fiat system, or the fiat currency, rather, the ending of the petrodollar, to create a type of economy backed by, by precious metals and stuff.
Interesting.
Bringing us back to a U.S. Treasury.
We need that, right?
We do.
Because right now they're just printing.
They're printing money out of nothing, and they're charging it at high interest rates. And that's how they were able to take governments from within. This whole financial coup began with the Rothschilds hundreds of years ago. And they did it first in England, and then in France, Germany, and then, of course, here later.
I really wonder how much wealth these guys have by now.
I would say it's in the trillions.
Holy
yeah, and they've been hoarding it, but the alliance has actually been recuperating a lot of that money back. And part of what they call the Gesera and Nasera programs, the new financial system, is to redistribute that money, all those trillions, back to the people.
Trillions, geez. Yeah, because when you see the Forbes list, you see like Elon at the top, but there's people that make way more than them, right?
Oh, absolutely. Elon's not the richest man in the world.
Yeah, that's just a disguise, in my opinion. Because there's probably oil money in other countries too, or something going on. Who knows? I know 9/11 was in your book, but do you think we'll ever get the 9/11 files? Do you think we'll get the truth?
Absolutely. Yeah. Part of the disclosure process is to release everything, not only what they've been doing to the kids in these underground facilities, dumps, right, deep underground military bases, but also to disclose the truth about 9/11, every war, all the corruption that's been going on for a long time.
Wow, that's gonna be major. You think that'll be under Trump's watch, or
it's supposed to? It's supposed to, yeah. So it's going to be happening, from what I understand, very, very soon.
So when you look at 9/11 and all the wars that stem from that, a lot of people devoted their whole life to that incident, to join the military and whatnot. That'd be a major thing if that got released.
Oh, a lot of people are going to be pissed off.
Very pissed. They're going to question their whole life.
Yeah. When they find out that our own government orchestrated that event and that the terrorists were never a international faction, but a domestic hidden force, They're going to be pissed.
Speaking of the government orchestrating stuff, JFK assassination.
That's another file that's supposed to be released.
Well, last week, Anna Paulina, shout out to her, she's on Congress. She just released that the CIA was 100% involved now with that assassination.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Every player in that assassination was all paid off, including the Jack Ruby killing off Oswald. That was all part of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, they were all working with the CIA. The FBI was in on it. The mafia was in on it. I mean, they were all colluding together. And you know, it's funny because one of the things that I talk about in my book, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, is that all of these 8 loose-knit agencies are actually working together under the control of the Jesuit priest. The Jesuit priest, the Black Pope, is the one who ordered the assassination of JFK. Everybody else was just doing their part.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're the puppeteer, the Black
Jesuits, the Black Pope, yeah.
Where are they at?
Well, the Black Pope is also known as the Supreme Jesuit General, and he's actually the one who I consider the planetary Sith in terms of Star Wars. He controls the entire Illuminati network. He and his advisors are called the Council of Six. There's only 6 individuals that rule the entire cabal infrastructure. And for many years, this gentleman, who was known by Peter the Count, they call him the Count, Peter Vance Kolvenbach, who was recently replaced, was actually the reason why they launched the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. I mean, every war in the last 60 years was all ordered by the Council of Six, which is the Supreme Jesuit General and his advisors.
Jeez, they have a lot of influence.
Yeah, they control everything. They have like different secret society branches that are also controlling the mafias, like the Godfather, Cosa Nostra of Italy.
Yeah.
Well, he answers to the Jesuit.
No way.
Priest. Yeah, he does.
Holy crap.
The Jesuits, they've been controlling everything for 500 years. They've been around for 500 years. So it was their attempt to bring control back to the Pope. But again, if it wasn't for the Y Hats or the Alliance, who were then operating as the Knights Templars, then they would have achieved their agenda.
You think JFK got too close to the truth?
Oh, yeah. JFK knew about the truth. JFK was briefed beyond the level of presidency. He was actually shown a lot of documents. He knew about the secret space program. He knew about the fake wars. He knew about the central banking system. And he wanted to undo everything. And so that's the reason why the Supreme Jesuit General ordered his assassination, and everybody just played a key role, including the mafia.
You think his family's aware, like RFK, anyone that survived?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the reason why they also tried taking out his son.
Wow. They took out his brother too, right?
They took out his brother as well.
Jeez, that is nuts. Well, 60 years later, we're finally getting something at least, right?
Well, you know, there is a saying that says everything eventually comes to light, and that's part of the solar flash event, is that eventually society as a whole has to reach a certain level where, or you could say, what's the word I'm looking for here? Society as a whole, you could say, goes through a transition where everything that has ever been suppressed always comes to the surface. It has to. And that's what we call in this community the age of light, where everything becomes transparent again.
The truth always comes out. It's something with the universe. I don't know how to explain it, but
part of the cycles that that we are ending at this time. So many people think that we're just ending a 2,160-year cycle from the age of Pisces into Aquarius, but no, it goes beyond that. We're ending a 5,000-year world age. We're ending a 25,000-year Platonic year cycle, which is the revolution of our solar system around its parent sun. And in some cases, believe it or not, we're also ending even greater cycles that our current Earth scientists can't even measure at this time.
Wow, that's nuts.
So all these cycles are now coming into culmination.
Is there any chance Epstein's alive and he faked that death?
Some people believe he is. Some people believe he was replaced. But I guess it's just a matter of time.
Because I know last time you came on, you said Hitler actually survived, right? He moved.
He did. He secretly lived out his life in Argentina. And then he was, believe it or not, upgraded through nanotechnology to become cyborg. So the original Hitler was actually off-world. He left Argentina. And he still lives today, and he's part of the Dark Fleet, which is a secret space program that was developed by the Nazis and the Draconians in the 1940s.
Wow, so he's still alive?
He's alive, not organically. Okay. He's part cyborg now. That's how they were able to enhance him.
Is his soul still in the body, or how does that work?
No, he's more of a cyborg digital mind now.
So once you go cyborg, you have to remove the soul?
The soul becomes extracted at that point.
Wow. So at that point, you don't have free will.
You don't have free will. You're completely controlled by whatever is above you, which is like an AI mind hive. So he's part of the AI mind.
Dang. And are the cyborgs, are there good ones or are they all bad?
Most cyborgs, I would say, if not all, are actually bad, because once you lose your soul, you lose your connection to God.
Right.
Your soul is the fragment of God that is in you. And if you lose that part of yourself, then you lose that connection with God. And you're no longer a free will individual. At that point, you just become like a robot.
Damn. That's scary, right?
Well, that was part of the COVID agenda, to make as many robots as possible through this enforced vaccination.
So would Neuralink be a form of cyborg in your opinion?
Yes, Neuralink is a cyborg program, and that's being conducted by what I call the cyborg Elon, which is the first original Elon.
Jeez, there's going to be millions of people on that eventually.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's part of what I call the technocratic dystopian timeline, which is going to be ruled by artificial intelligence.
Wow, that is scary, man. I'm not planning on getting that one. Well, dude, it's been awesome. One more time, where can people find your books, find your YouTube and everything, and your events?
Yeah, all my stuff is on my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. All my links, my social media outlets, my courses. I do teach our cosmic history class, which I cover 900 billion years of cosmic history going back to the first universe. I also teach Ascension classes, Ascension Basics and Ascension 2.0. And then I also broadcast on my own YouTube channel called The Real Ishmael Perez 3 times a week, always giving out updates and intel as to what's really happening, and so on and so forth.
I love it. Check them out, guys. Check out the links, and I'll see you next time. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Peace.